series of powerful explosions is reported in Kyiv. A series of explosions thundered in Kyiv, local publications, as well as the mayor of the city, Vitaly Klitschko, report this. There is information about missile strikes in other cities of Ukraine. Advisor to the head of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine Anton Gerashenko wrote on Twitter that a rocket fell near the monument to Grushevsky on Volodymyrska Street. On this street is the office of the Security Service of Ukraine, next to the office of the President. Missile strikes are also reported in the Zhytomyr, Dnipropetrovsk, Vinnytsia, Lvov, Khmelnytsky, Ternopil, Poltava, Rivne, Kharkiv and Kirovograd regions. Interruptions with the internet are observed throughout Ukraine. Electricity went out in a number of cities. Kyiv is preparing an attack on the Zaporizhzhia region authorities. Rogov, a member of the military and civil administration of the Zaporizhzhia region, said that Ukraine is preparing to attack the region. The Ukrainian side has begun ideological and informational preparations for an attack on the Zaporizhzhia region. Provocations may begin in the near future, Vladimir Rogov, a member of the main council of the administration of the Zaporizhzhia region, said, RIA Novosti reports. According to Rogov, the Kyiv authorities may decide to provocation or intensify hostilities in the near future, a maximum of 2 to 3 weeks. Saudi Arabia helps Russia in special operation in Ukraine. Washington Post. Washington Post, Saudi Arabia is helping Russia in the special operation in Ukraine by cutting oil production as part of the OPEC Plus agreements. Saudi Arabia's agreement to cut oil production as part of the OPEC Plus deal helps Russia with a special military operation in Ukraine, writes the Washington Post. The publication notes that the participation of Riyadh and the Persian Gulf countries in the agreement plays into the hands of Moscow, which is interested in high energy prices. According to the authors of the publication, the decision of the OPEC Plus members indicates their bias towards Moscow. At the same time, in their opinion, U.S. President Joe Biden was defeated by failing to convince Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud to start producing more oil amid rising fuel prices. Biden has turned the U.S. into a bottomless piggy bank for Ukraine. Fox News. U.S. President Joe Biden is making one foreign policy mistake after another, according to Fox News host Rachel Campo-Duffy. She recalled the recent statement of the White House head about the inevitability of nuclear Armageddon. In her opinion, the American president's words point to the aggravation of the situation. EU pays mad money to US for gas. Peskov. Russian presidential spokesman Dmitry Peskov has said that Europeans have been repeating like a mantra that they need to get rid of dependence on Russia for energy resources. While the Americans are now making mad money on gas sales, European countries are paying them and depriving their economies of competitiveness. Peskov said this in an interview with journalist Pavel Zarubin in the program Moscow. Kremlin. Putin on Russia won. Protests against anti-Russian sanctions and poverty continue in Europe. About 10,000 people protested in Germany, demanding the lifting of anti-Russian sanctions. It was reported by the Serbian broadcaster BN. Thousands of Germans had gathered in front of the government building in Berlin, protesting against the policy of the German authorities and demanding the lifting of anti-Russian sanctions for access to cheap energy. The event was organized by the Alternative for Germany party. The slogan of the rally is "Our country comes first." Some citizens stand on the square holding German and Russian flags. Protests against poverty have taken place in the center of Prague. Increasingly high food and fuel prices have forced many residents to take to the streets and demand more help from their government. The protest, called Against Poverty, which was held in the center of the city of Prague, drew several thousand people. The rally was held to demand an increase in the minimum wage, which is currently €661 per month. Several large events have taken place in Prague so far. Demonstrators have demanded the government to do more in the fight against price hikes. Many are blaming the EU for the conflict in Ukraine and calling for the lifting of sanctions imposed on Russia.